Who did break her hand slapping you? Where did I get that?
Jennifer Jones. Yeah, that's true.
How'd that happen?
Well, it was on the scene, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she just is a very strong girl. She hit me as hard as I've ever been hit, I think, practically.
You didn't let her get away with that.
I don't know how hard Bowie Kuhn can hit.
Were you furious? Did you deck her?
No, I backed up. I figured she might swing with the other hand. But actually, the film shows quite frequently on the Late Late Show these days. It's a picture called Ruby Gentry.
Oh,
and through about 4/5 of the movie, you'll notice she suddenly starts wearing a lot of silver Mexican bracelets, and that was to conceal a very adroitly designed fine steel brace that went from about there up her wrist, and she has her whole, about 2.5 pounds. I'm glad she wasn't wearing those when she slapped me, or she would have killed me.
And is the take that is in the movie, is that the slap?
That's the one.
That did the damage?
Yeah, that was no acting at all. That was pure terror.
Your face is a dangerous weapon. You've got to be careful about that.
The nose was broken before she hit me, but...
You can't blame her for that.
No.
Is that a broken nose?
Yeah. That's a relic of my spectacularly unsuccessful career as a football player in high school. I went to high school, and like most American kids, I was all hepped on team sports. And I was about as tall as I am now in high school, but I think I only weighed about 165 pounds. And that's really not the ideal build for even high school football.
And the nose was the first to go.
Nose was the first to go. I broke my finger. Then I tried out for freshman ball at Northwestern, and they had a good team, and that was when Pappy Waldorf was coaching, and Otto Graham was a senior the year I was a freshman, and I very quickly realized that this was a terrible idea. So that was the end of my football career until a couple of years ago. I played a pro quarterback in a picture about the New Orleans Saints called Number One. That it's much easier if you know how the games go. I cracked a rib in that. But
Where else have you been hurt in the movies? Did you get hurt on Mount Sinai? I heard you went up Sinai barefoot.
A couple of notices sometimes of smarted a bit, but...
I mean, is it true that you went up Mount Sinai barefoot?
Just the last 50 yards.
Were there Coke bottle caps and things?
Yeah. Well, I asked Mr. DeMille not to add any sharp rocks, but I think he had an arrangement with somebody up there, and it worked out okay.
And you played the voice of God once, and what was that?
That was, I suppose it's long past the event now, but this was supposed to be a deep, dark secret at the time, but for the dialogue between Moses and the burning bush, which is presumed to be the voice of God, after going through any number of trial voices on it, why I did the voice of God, which is reasonable because I suppose where do you hear the voice of God but inside yourself? So my voice would do as well as anyone's.
Wasn't John Huston in that?
No,
you're thinking something else, or am I thinking of the Ten
he did it
Commandments?
marvelously. No, you're thinking in his own film, The Bible,
in
which
Bible.
I
That's
think
what it was,
the best sequence was his sequence as Noah.
Yeah.
And he did his own, again, when he was conversing with God, why he was God too.
So I'm going to ask you something now that I've never asked a
Bill
guest.
Cosby does a pretty good dialogue with between
Yes.
Noah and God too.
Do you mind going back to your nose for just a moment?
No, it's all right. If I'd known we were going to be concentrating on it so much, I'd have had him put some makeup on it.
I heard that you put a plastic noodle up your nose. Now, I think that's one of the most wonderful things I've ever heard about.
That's this little nervous habit I have.
I do that too, and I'm so glad to find someone else who does it. What is that?
This was for the agony and the ecstasy, and Michelangelo's nose, if you can believe it, was even more broken than mine is. And so, in an attempt to distort it more to the side, they just put a plastic, you could call it a noodle, I guess, up, and it pulled it out to one side. The hole in it, obviously, was to breathe through.
Remember that, folks, when you put noodles up your nose.
You're giving them all these little things to watch for in my old movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Keep their mind on it.
Nose and face oriented, all of them.